Vladimir Putin, Russia's forever president, enjoyer of meat grinders and 3-day special military operations. Safe to say, he's the world's least favorite neighbor. From the Baltics to the Caucasus, his idea of diplomacy looks a lot like invasion with extra paperwork. But how's Moscow actually getting along with the countries next door? Who's keeping their distance? And who's wondering if they're next on the list? Stick around to find out. First, let's head to the Russian Far East. That's where you'll find the first stop on this Bring Back the Empire world tour. China. The two share a border and a long, awkward history. If it was a Facebook status, it would say it's complicated with occasional artillery fire. Back in 1969, they fought a mini world war all over a scrap of land near Damansky Island and Telekti. A breakup so bad it took them until the 2000s to divide the furniture. These days, it's all smiles. Unlimited strategic partners. Translation? BFFs with benefits. But Putin keeps things unofficial. A formal alliance would make it obvious who's wearing the pants, and it's not him. He probably stares at Xi's map with envy. China's got the Himalayas as a natural fortress. Russia's stuck with the Urals, the mountain equivalent of speed bumps. Still, Putin's worries don't lie eastward. His real problems are wearing NATO uniforms. So he'll play nice with Beijing. For now. China's not the enemy. Russia couldn't afford the fight. So China's fine. No war, no worries, just awkward dinner dates with Xi. But look west, and you'll find the neighbors Putin actually loses sleep over. Number 11. Belarus. This seems like an easy choice, but there's a reason they're on the list. The European plain. It goes from France to the Urals, over 1,200 miles from the Arctic to the Caspian. It's like a giant welcome mat for rampaging armies. Sweden, Napoleon, Germany, twice, they've all kicked down the door. And each time, Russia was left smoldering, like a frat house after an all-night rager with weapons. Moscow's rulers have always wanted one thing: distance, buffers, a moat made of other countries to guard the Western heartland, the geopolitical version of personal space. And Russia's that guy who flinches if you think about sitting too close. When the USSR fell apart in 1991, Russia's borders collapsed. The plain was an open invite to any invaders, the gateway to the Russian heartland, where 80% of Russians live. To Putin, the Soviet Union was one that got away, and he's still drunk dialing it at 3 a.m. But Belarus was the rebound, the friend with benefits, the one Putin telegrams, "You up?" Alexander Lukashenko has ruled since 1994, when dial-up internet was cutting edge. He's turned dictatorship into a family business, and his bromance with Moscow goes beyond politics. It's spiritual, emotional, borderline fan fiction. He treats Belarusian language and culture like expired yogurt in the fridge. It's there, but better to ignore it. In the 1990s, when Boris Yeltsin's Russia was staggering around like a drunk bear at a picnic, Lukashenko had big dreams. Really big. Lukashenko pictured himself as the next big thing, the leader of a brand new Slavic superstate, a union state. Russia and Belarus under one government, one economy, one big Soviet nostalgia trip. Then Vladimir Putin arrived and said, "Cute, but I'm the main character now." These days, Belarus is independent in the same way your little brother is independent while borrowing your car, gas money, and Netflix password. Russia keeps the lights on, literally, discounted oil and political life support. And when Lukashenko tried to pull his "I totally won the election" promise act in 2020, the people weren't buying it. Protest exploded, the world laughed, and Putin had to step in to keep his favorite regional sidekick from getting booted. Belarus survived, barely. So, Russia's got its toehold to the west. Belarus, the loyal neighbor that's basically Moscow's Airbnb for tanks. And that comes in handy. If Belarus is the loyal lapdog, then Ukraine's the free spirit, the one who rebels. Which brings us to number 10. Moscow had Ukraine on a leash for a long time. Sometimes tight control, sometimes through some totally independent puppet regime. who accidentally voted exactly how the Kremlin wanted. The universe works in mysterious ways. Russia even had a prized timeshare on the Black Sea, the naval base at Sevastopol. It was the geopolitical equivalent of leaving a toothbrush at your buddy's place. Then came late 2013, and Kyiv lost its chill. President Yanukovych, Moscow's favorite errand boy, decided to ghost the European Union. Instead, he ran back into Russia's warm embrace. Ukrainians weren't happy. Cue mass protests. Yanukovych was packing his bags for a one-way trip to exile. Then, the little green men popped up in Crimea and the Donbass like uninvited party guests who brought tanks instead of nachos. Putin took all this personally. According to him, Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine were one big, happy family, minus the happy and the family parts. 4 years on, it holds maybe a fifth of Ukraine. The cost? Over 1 million casualties. Sanctions stacked up like nesting dolls. So, was it worth it? Depends on who you ask. Most people will say niet. Ukraine was supposed to be easy. It wasn't. And up north, it only gets worse. Number 9, Finland and Norway. NATO is Putin's boogeyman, the monster lurking under the bed. But in reality, it's a glorified neighborhood watch with better hardware, built on one rule. An attack on one is an attack on all. Spot the keyword, attack. There's no conquest clause in the fine print. No world domination clause hiding in Article 5. If a member tried, they'd get dropped quicker than an oligarch looking out a 5th floor window. Oh, and if you like these map drops, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's the only way to Russia without the State Department sending me an email. So after the Soviet collapse, Eastern Europe didn't run toward the alliance, it ran away from Moscow. And then came Finland, the quiet neighbor with the chainsaw behind its back. In 2023, it joined NATO. The alliance's border with Russia doubled overnight. Another 830 miles of headache. But it's not a battlefield Putin wants. Finland is a frozen nightmare. Forests, lakes, mosquitoes the size of drones, a landscape that eats armies like snow cones. Moscow's been here before. The Winter War in 1939. Finland's Mannerheim Line chewed through Soviet divisions like a snowplow through tourists. Sure, the Soviets took a few miles, but it also had 4 times the casualties. That's not victory. That's Darwin with a shovel. And Finland's even tougher now. Every man between 18 and 60 can be mobilized. The whole country's basically a militia with parkas. The army's perfectly comfortable fighting in weather that makes metal scream. Diesel freezes, fingers stick to rifles, and the Finns just shrug and say, it's Tuesday. If Russia tried again, it wouldn't be a war. It'd be a sequel. Same plot, same ending, more NATO, and there's no prize waiting in Finland. Just frostbite and bad headlines. Another strategic masterstroke ending in disaster. Even Putin knows it. He may be ruthless, but he's not stupid. Finland is where ambition goes to die of hypothermia. So Finland is off the table. Too cold, too costly, too armed to the teeth. But south of there? It's a different story. Number 8. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. When the Baltic states joined NATO in 2004, it gave Moscow panic attacks. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania had been under Russian control or influence since the late 18th century. And they weren't just distant provinces. They were beachfront property on the Baltic Sea. Prime real estate in imperial terms. Today, about 2,500 ships move through those waters daily. 15% of global trade. It's not just a sea, it's a conveyor belt for money. The Soviet Union was swimming in money. Then the collapse came. Russia lost nearly everything. Well, except Kaliningrad, a lonely military outpost wedged between Poland and Lithuania. The rest, gone. The Baltic states packed their bags and joined Team NATO. For Putin, that's not just a loss, that's a humiliation. Sure, the Baltics are small. Estonia's got about 7,700 active troops, Latvia 17,000. Lithuania, the muscle of the trio, 23,000. Even counting reserves, they're about as intimidating as a strongly worded email. In a conventional war, Russia could steamroll them, which is exactly why they joined NATO as fast as they could. Russia wasn't ready to move before 2004. Now, Article 5's the thing saving them from a new liberation tour. But now, the real question is whether the West would actually show up. For all the talk of unity, the Baltics don't offer much to the US or Western Europe beyond moral panic and bad headlines. But to Russia, a lightning strike there would blow a hole straight through NATO's credibility. If World War III ever starts on purpose, it probably won't be over nukes or even Ukraine. It'll start here. Cold, flat, forgettable. 3 little countries that could set the world on fire. But there's another place, not far away, where World War III could start completely by accident. Again, number 7, Poland. Kaliningrad is a leftover from World War II. Tiny, but jacked. Like the gym bro everyone avoids. Just 5,800 square miles of overcompensation. 200,000 troops and some of Russia's best toys hang out here. Tactical nukes? Yep, no one knows how many though. Just enough to ruin everyone's day. It's basically a loaded gun pointed at both Lithuania and Poland, and Warsaw knows it. That's why it's dropping nearly 5% of its GDP on defense. That's more than any other NATO member. Poland's history with Russia? Long, ugly, and mostly written in blood, and as if that weren't enough, it borders one of NATO's weak spots. The Suwalki Gap, 68 miles of bad geography. Europe's version of an exposed jugular. Kaliningrad to the west, Belarus to the east. Squeeze it and you cut off the Baltics from the rest of NATO. Thanks to Finland and Sweden joining, that wouldn't be a catastrophe. The Baltics could be resupplied by sea, but it'd still be a migraine. Poland could take hits from both sides. No wonder Warsaw's been digging in. Even before Ukraine, it fenced its borders. Then came the East Shield in 2024, 249 miles of bunkers, trenches, and AI cameras watching everything that moves. A 21st century Maginot Line. Only this one actually works. Poland's always been the prize of the European plane. Flat, open, and historically unlucky, but not anymore. Now it's the neighbor that spent the pandemic working out. Putin may dream of pushing west, but even he knows better than to flex near Poland. It's the one guy on the block who's been training for this rematch since 1939. So much for the West. Too armed, too ready, too Polish. The real action's farther south. Number 6, Azerbaijan. Let's take a look at the Volgograd Gap. This is it, a narrow strip of land between the Sea of Azov and the Caspian Sea. It's the narrow hallway connecting Russia's European house to its southern basement. Germany went for it in both world wars, not just for oil. Whoever controls it owns Russia's southern doorway. Lose it and you lose access to Rostov-on-Don and Crimea. The only other route is a scenic trip through occupied Ukraine, not on anyone's bucket list. 2 neighbors share it. One relationship's smooth, the other one's rocky. Azerbaijan's the easy one. It's like mini Russia, but with better weather and fewer protests. There's no debates, no elections of note, journalists disappear between news cycles. NATO shrugs, and the trade keeps flowing. Oil, gas, and the occasional strongman photo op. The one hiccup? The region of Nagorno-Karabakh. It's in Azerbaijan. Armenia wants it. Russia was supposed to back Armenia, but its peacekeepers mostly pretended to be statues. When Azerbaijan took the region back, Moscow barely blinked. Can't ruin a bromance. Not when your buddy just signed a deal 2 days before the Ukraine invasion. Military cooperation, coordinated foreign policy, mutual back-scratching with matching pens. For Moscow, it's perfect. Europe has been searching for non-Russian energy. Azerbaijan could have been a replacement. Now it's just another extension cord plugged into the Kremlin. Putin traded Armenia for something more useful, a loyal autocrat guarding his southern flank. But his next frontier? Not nearly as friendly, and definitely not as predictable. For Russia, Azerbaijan has become one of the best neighbors it could ask for, and all it took was throwing Armenia away. But there's a much more troublesome place next door. Number 5, Georgia might seem like an afterthought today, but in the late 2000s, it had Putin waking up in cold sweats. The kind you get after dreaming NATO just moved in next door. In 2008, Georgia looked ready to join the alliance, just like Ukraine later would. Putin's response? A matinee show. Russian troops rolled in, split Georgia apart, and seized Abkhazia and South Ossetia. NATO doesn't take members with border disputes, so Georgia's dreams froze solid. Both regions remain under Russian control. Rubles, passports, Moscow's phone code, about 20% of Georgia's land is gone. Like losing a fifth of your house and paying rent on it. Where Russian troops go, abuses follow. Arrests, torture, looting, families fenced in, same playbook, just louder. A little occupation here, a few sanctions there. It's Moscow's version of a rewards program. But there's more tempting places in Central Asia. Number 4, Kazakhstan. After the Soviet Union broke up, only one country was left sharing a border with Russia. Kazakhstan, the world's 9th largest country, over 4,700 miles of shared frontier. That's longer than the Earth's radius. If borders were bragging rights, these two would be in a toxic relationship. Luckily for Moscow, the frontier's mostly empty steppe, flat, windy, and about as defensible as a parking lot. You can see trouble coming from miles away, literally. But Russia never really left. 80% of oil exports flow through Russian pipelines. Moscow even owns a quarter of its uranium. Nothing says trust like handing your nukes to be to the neighbor with anger issues. Astana talks about diversifying, making friends with China, maybe the West, but the numbers tell a different story. Trade with Russia hit record highs in 2022 and 2023. So much for moving out of the old empire's basement. Kazakhstan's weakness isn't just economic, it's cultural too. About 15% of its people are ethnically Russian, mostly up north. Russian isn't just common, it's official. Over 80% of citizens speak it, more than those who speak Kazakh every day. It's like running your own country in someone else's accent. The government tried to push back. They switched from Cyrillic to Latin script in 2017. Russian was banned in cabinet meetings, but the influence runs deep. Centuries deep. You can't scrub out Moscow that easily. It's in the keyboards, the classrooms, the playlists. The empire may have fallen, but its spell checker still works. For Putin, Kazakhstan isn't really foreign. It's more like a misplaced file in the Soviet archives, part of historical Russia. Same drawer as Ukraine and Belarus, places he swears aren't separate countries, just misplaced. Borders? It's paperwork. In Putin's world, language is loyalty, and heritage is ownership. By that logic, Kazakhstan's already halfway home. So far, Kazakhstan dodged a special operation by smiling politely and never making eye contact. But if it ever leaned west, the script's ready. Protect the Russian speakers. Reunite the family. It's the same story as Ukraine. It's just waiting for a reboot on the steppe. And just beyond that, the land that once broke Russia. Number 3, Mongolia. Russia's border with Mongolia is long, nearly 2,200 miles, nearly the distance from London to Cairo. Just endless steppe. The kind of landscape that gives Russian generals flashbacks. You can thank Genghis Khan for that, and his overachieving Mongol hordes. They came roaring out of these plains and steamrolled medieval Russia so hard it still twitches when it hears hoofbeats. The Mongols didn't just conquer Russia, they put it in timeout for 200 years. These days, the fears moved west. Russia doesn't lose sleep over horsemen anymore. Relations with Mongolia are calm. They have to be. When you're landlocked between Russia and China, two superpowers with centuries of bad blood, you learn to play nice. So, Mongolia balances. Smiles both ways. In September of 2025, it joined Russia and China for joint border drills. It was the diplomatic version of sitting between two exes and pretending everything's fine. Still, Mongolia can breathe easy. It's small, it's empty, it's got nothing Moscow wants. Never part of the Russian Empire, never swallowed by the USSR. Few Russians and fewer Chinese. Geography, for once, playing defense. But just beyond Mongolia, it's a different story. A neighbor that mirrors Russia's own future. Shrinking, isolated, and haunted by the past. Number 2, North Korea. About 12,000 North Korean troops have fought for Russia's war in Ukraine. Just not in Ukraine. Apparently, even Kim Jong-un draws the line somewhere. Around 50,000 more North Koreans have been shipped to Russia as laborers working in slave-like conditions, according to the BBC. Free labor for a war economy, human outsourcing, Pyongyang style. With millions of Russians at the front, it's convenient. No wages, no complaints, no inflation. Putin gets bodies, Kim gets brownie points. It's the world's most depressing internship program. And Kim's been generous with more than manpower. North Korea's sending rockets and artillery shells. Russia's burning through ammo faster than TikTok trends. The quality? Let's say retro. Half the shells explode on impact. The other half take the day off. Their shared border is barely a hiccup on the map, 11 miles along the Tumen River. But suddenly, it's busy. In May, they announced their first bridge, a 10-lane crossing for 300 vehicles and 3,000 people a day. A shiny new friendship bracelet made of concrete, and Putin's not getting it for free. In return, Kim scored a mutual defense pact, stacks of Russian cash, and probably some spy satellite tech for his failing space program. A great deal, if you ignore the human rights violation. Meanwhile, Putin's gone from superpower to side hustle, leaning on a country that can't even keep its own lights on. But here's the twist. Russia's most interesting border isn't in Europe or Asia at all. Number 1. Russia's hidden border. How many countries does the United States border? 2, right? Wrong. 5. 3 are maritime and 1 of them's Russia. A narrow stretch between Big and Little Diomede Islands, where tomorrow and yesterday glare at each other across the international dateline. In early 2024, Putin signed one of his stranger laws, even by Kremlin standards. It ordered officials to find and protect property once owned by the Russian Empire or the USSR. Military bloggers didn't miss the hint. Maybe it was time to reclaim Alaska. Putin never says it outright, but the Arctic's his new obsession. He talks about it like a man watching his ex through binoculars. Melting ice means new shipping lanes, oil fields, and minerals. It's a frozen gold rush waiting to happen. One problem? The United States. Russian ships and bombers already patrol nearby. There's been 9 US interceptions between January and September of 2025. Proof, in Putin's mind, that Alaska's still a little bit Russian, just misplaced. But Alaska isn't undefended. 9 US bases packed with F-22s and F-35s sit ready. Not the best neighborhood for a rematch. Maybe it's time for Putin to stop peering over everyone else's fences and take a hard look at his own yard. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing and turn on notifications. Really does make a difference. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on MatPack.